Donald Trump doubles down on the tariffs. Now, talking about the tariffs is a really, really bizarre thing to me because I just cannot ever think that the best defense that anybody could give for these tariffs is, I kid you not, that chaos leads to change. That's the defense. That's the best defense these Republicans can give. We live in a clown country, guys. We live in a circus. So, Trump, after completely decimating and executing the stock market, he goes golfing off to a golf tournament. Well, that's very caring of him. I'm sure the Republicans will make a huge fuss over this, right? Considering how, they have criticized Obama for going golfing regularly. When in actuality, Trump does that much and if not more. In response to the tariffs and the completely disastrous first 3 to 4 months of Trump in office, there has been nationwide protests, which is fantastic. It's fantastic to see this. One of the things that I have always been incredibly worried about is the fact that maybe the Democrats are just going to sit idly by and do nothing. Maybe they're not going to actually have a strong showing. Maybe the best thing that they could actually hope for or do is to make little virtue signally tweets on social media. Of course, that is not the way to go, considering how Cory Booker was on the Senate floor delivering a 25-hour-long so-called filibuster. Now, we don't call this a filibuster because filibusters typically are all about blocking a bill or enabling a bill to pass, all right? So Cory Booker was there for a 25-hour filibuster, with quotes, standing there, no water, well, yes, water, but just essentially, I'm pretty sure he didn't even go to the bathroom. That's impressive. That's really impressive. And the thing is that what I find is that delusional Republicans find this switching off from manufacturing to be a weakness. They find this switch from blue collar, rough and tough jobs like mining and manufacturing to service jobs such as drawing and programming and all this stuff to be a weakness, when it's not actually a weakness. I personally believe that this is a natural part of society. You begin with the hard labor simply because it's the easier stuff. It has easier infrastructure to set up in the first place. It is expensive, but easier to do when you have pickaxes, when you have drills and you have mine carts and you have automobile industries and all that jazz, right? But of course, once you have the infrastructure set up, now you can actually move on to stuff like computer science, to cybersecurity, to all that jazz. But it's a mark of strength. It's not a mark of weakness. Look, we're getting momentum, all right? Because let's just take a look here. Democratic activists participated in rallies across the country Saturday in the largest demonstration since Trump returned to office in January. The winds are changing, said Ronna Epting, who leads Move On, one of the many organizing groups. Trump is unbowed. He has promised that the taxes on imports will bring about a domestic manufacturing renaissance and help fund an extension of his 2017 tax cuts. He insisted Thursday, as the Dow Jones fell by 1,600 points, that things were going very well and the economy would boom. Then spent Friday at the golf course as the index plunged 2,200 more points. This is a disaster. It's a disaster for the economy. It is. And the fact that this incredibly gross, incompetent, immoral, monster, demon, retard of a person would go on to golf after millions of Americans are starting to be affected by the horrible economic policies that he has put forth is disgraceful. It is disgraceful. We live in a complete clown fiesta, and the White House is the circus. And again, I want to emphasize that one of the many copes that Trump supporters say is that, oh, they had it coming. Oh, they had it coming. The thing that people don't understand about tariffs is that tariffs are meant to be mutually beneficial. A country would not engage in tariffs if it was a leeching kind of trade. A trade deficit could be a problem, but it's not necessarily indicative of a problem that is absolutely for sure going to be there. Deficits can simply mean that the other country is gaining at a much faster rate than whatever country that it's trading with. But deficits are not fixed by tariffs. The China-United States trade deficit cannot be fixed by a tariff. You just can't. Not by a broad tariff, at the very least. The best thing that economists have suggested is to diversify where the United States gets their imports. If you get everything from China, of course you're going to become overly reliant on China, especially since everything is probably incredibly cheap, considering how China has sophisticated sweatshops. Now the thing is by being overly reliant on China, the deficit does in fact become a problem. But to solve this problem, it's not necessarily tariffs. In fact, it's not tariffs. So the fact that Trump would impose such drastic tariffs is incredibly detrimental to the world economy. Now, what's great is that some Trump supporters are actually having their doubts, according to this AP article right here. Frank Amoroso, a 78-year-old resident of DeWitt, Michigan, said he is concerned about short-term rising interest rates and inflation, although he believes the tariffs will be good for the country in the long run. Amoroso, a retired automotive engineer who voted for Trump, said he would give the president's second-term performance a C+ or a B-. As an Asian, B is below average. C is can't have dinner. All right? I think he's doing things too fast, he said, but hopefully things will get done in a prudent way and the economy will survive a little downfall. Representative French Hill, Republican from Arkansas, in a telephone town hall with constituents Thursday night, expressed reservations about the broad nature of the tariffs. The tariffs are indefensible. If you see anybody defending the tariffs, make sure to tell them that they're indefensible. There is literally no excuse for them. None. No excuse. And I know that there are some people who are bringing up clips such as Nancy Pelosi in the past talking about tariffs or Obama or something like that. Well, I just want to say this. They're either not talking about the tariffs whatsoever. They're either talking about reciprocity in another sense, or they're talking about tariffs that are probably applied over a broad period of time while telling the opposite country that you're going to be applying the tariffs in the first place while passing it through Congress lawfully, not by executive order. Now, the thing is, all of this pushback isn't just, oh, this one person from Arkansas or this other person from Georgia. I have actually seen myself, other commentators, and some other people who are hardcore Republican express doubts. Now, of course, there will always be a very large amount of MAGA supporters who will never change their mind. They will literally sacrifice their right arm and their son and daughter in order to appease Trump. This will not change. However, you have to be able to take advantage and recognize the opportunity that is presented here. After all, fortune is when opportunity meets skill. And what better fortune is this than to get Trump supporters who are harboring doubts to question, maybe just a little bit, maybe to push them a little bit more towards your side. It wouldn't be such a bad idea. If you guys are enjoying the content, please consider leaving a like, a comment, or a sub. I do have several other channels. One other channel is Snack Markets, which is going to be in the description below. That channel is specifically where I put archived content. I have a third channel named Fair Stalls, okay, which is also in the description below. That channel going to be uploading all the politics related stuff there. So when it's only politics and no drama, in terms of like internet glubshittle drama, then I'm gonna move it to the politics channel. And that's just how it's gonna be. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you.